Today I would like to invite you to listen to the Dhammapada of the Buddha Shakyamuni. 168 verses from the Buddhist scriptures on the YouTube channel Thien Thai in the USA. Be not heedless in standing at people's doors for alms. Observe this practice scrupulously. He who observes this practice lives happily both in this world and in the next. During the lifetime of the Buddha, there was a young monk who was entrusted with the practice of going for alms with mindfulness and humility. At first he treated this practice carelessly, standing at doors with distraction in his mind, sometimes thinking about food preferences, sometimes judging households, sometimes losing awareness of gratitude. Because of this heedlessness, his mind became unstable and his heart gradually lost joy in practice. One day he encountered an elder monk who had practiced alms round with deep respect for many years. This elder monk walked slowly, peacefully, and with full awareness, seeing each house as an opportunity to cultivate humility, gratitude, and detachment from ego. Inspired by this example, the young monk later approached the Buddha with confusion about why his practice did not bring happiness. The Buddha gently explained that even simple acts such as receiving alms can become a path of awakening if performed with mindfulness, respect, and inner awareness. But when done with heedlessness, even noble actions lose their spiritual power and become ordinary or even burdensome. Another story tells of a lay disciple who supported monks but often did so with pride and expectation of recognition. She gave offerings while secretly desiring praise from the community. Over time, she noticed that her mind remained restless despite her generosity. After hearing this teaching, she realized that true happiness arises not from external giving alone, but from the purity of intention and mindfulness. During the act of giving, she began to offer food and support silently with gratitude and respect, without expectation, and gradually her heart became lighter, freer, and more peaceful. Dear friends, this verse from the Dhammapada reveals a profound teaching about mindfulness in even the smallest actions of spiritual life. The Buddha does not only teach grand philosophical truths, but also shows how awakening is found in ordinary daily conduct. Standing at doors for alms is not merely a physical action, but a moment of deep spiritual practice. If performed with heedlessness, the mind becomes scattered and egoistic. If performed with mindfulness, it becomes an opportunity to cultivate humility, gratitude, patience, and non-attachment. Thus, happiness in this world and the next arises naturally from awareness and right conduct rather than external success or recognition. Dear friends, the Buddha's teaching on alms round carries a deeper symbolic meaning beyond monastic life. It represents every moment in which human beings depend upon others, receive support from life, and interact with the world. In daily life, everyone is in some way receiving alms from existence itself. We receive food, kindness, air, water, and countless conditions that support our survival. Yet if we live without awareness, we easily forget gratitude and act with entitlement or distraction. The Buddha encourages mindfulness so that every interaction becomes sacred and meaningful. When a person eats with awareness, speaks with awareness, or receives help with awareness, the heart becomes naturally more peaceful and respectful toward life. This is why scrupulous observation of practice is emphasized. It means careful attention to how one lives in every detail, not allowing the mind to drift into carelessness or forgetfulness of truth. In another time during the Buddha's life, there was a group of monks who performed alms round mechanically without inner reflection. They walked the same route every day, but their minds were filled with wandering thoughts, complaints, and comparisons. One of them began to feel emptiness in his practice and asked the Buddha why his efforts did not bring joy. The Buddha explained that external discipline without inner mindfulness becomes empty form. True spiritual life requires both correct action and clear awareness. When both are present, even simple walking becomes liberation practice. Hearing this, the monks began to slow down their steps, cultivate awareness of breath, and silently reflect on gratitude while receiving offerings. Gradually, their minds became more peaceful and their practice became joyful again. Dear friends, this teaching invites us to reflect on the quality of attention in our own lives. Many people rush through daily activities without awareness, constantly thinking about past and future, rarely fully present in the moment. Because of this, even meaningful experiences lose their depth. The Buddha shows that happiness does not depend on changing external circumstances, but on the quality of awareness brought into each moment. When awareness is present, ordinary life becomes luminous. When awareness is absent, even precious moments pass without true appreciation. The phrase about living happily in this world and the next does not refer only to future existence, but also to the immediate transformation of mind. A person who lives mindfully experiences peace here and now because the mind is not disturbed by greed, hatred, or delusion. At the same time, such actions create positive karmic conditions that continue into future experience. Thus, the teaching connects present awareness with long-term harmony. The Buddha always emphasizes continuity between present action and future consequence, showing that nothing is isolated or without effect. Dear friends, in practicing mindfulness during daily tasks, even simple acts such as standing, walking, waiting, or receiving become opportunities for insight. When one stands with awareness, one can observe the body calmly. When one receives something with gratitude, the heart softens naturally. When one acts without haste or distraction, clarity arises. These small practices gradually reshape the entire direction of life. The Buddha's path is not separate from ordinary existence, but fully embedded within it. As we reflect further on this teaching, we understand that heedlessness is not only forgetfulness, but also lack of respect for the present moment. Each moment is a gateway to awakening if approached with awareness. Each action carries the potential for transformation if performed with mindfulness. Therefore, the Buddha encourages careful attention in all things, no matter how small or ordinary they may seem. Dear friends, let us continue to cultivate awareness in every aspect of life, remembering that even simple actions carry deep spiritual significance. Let us walk the path of mindfulness with sincerity, humility, and gratitude, allowing every moment to become an opportunity for awakening. Dear friends, as we continue to reflect deeply on this teaching of mindful alms practice, we begin to see that the Buddha is not only instructing monastics, but also revealing a universal principle of how to live each moment with awareness. Standing at the door for alms is a symbol of every moment in which a human being stands before life itself, receiving what conditions offer. Each breath is like an offering from existence. Each moment of contact with others is like receiving alms from the world. When awareness is present, this receiving becomes sacred and full of gratitude. When awareness is absent, even precious moments become empty and forgettable. Therefore, the Buddha emphasizes scrupulous observation of this practice, meaning continuous mindfulness without interruption or negligence. Dear friends, there was once a young monk who misunderstood this teaching and treated alms round as merely routine. He walked from house to house thinking only of food and comfort. His mind was filled with desire when offerings were generous and disappointment when offerings were small. Because of this, his mind became unstable and easily disturbed. One day, an elder monk gently asked him whether he was receiving food or receiving practice. The young monk was confused by this question. The elder explained that true alms round is not about food, but about cultivating humility, patience, gratitude, and detachment from craving. Each step becomes meditation. Each pause becomes awareness. Each encounter becomes an opportunity to let go of ego. When the young monk understood this, his entire attitude changed. He began walking slowly with mindfulness, observing breath and mind, and seeing each house as a place of learning rather than satisfaction. Gradually, his suffering decreased, and joy arose not from food, but from clarity of mind. Dear friends, another lay disciple once supported the monastic community generously, but always compared her giving with others. When she saw someone give more, she felt pride. When she saw someone give less, she felt superiority. Because of this comparison, her mind was never at peace. One day, she listened to a teaching about scrupulous practice and realized that even generosity can become a source of ego when not accompanied by mindfulness. She began practicing giving quietly, without comparison or expectation. She focused on the feeling of letting go rather than being seen. Over time, her heart became lighter and free from the burden of comparison. This is the meaning of practicing scrupulously. It means doing even good actions without distraction, pride, or negligence of the mind. Dear friends, the Buddha always points toward inner transformation rather than external performance. The practice of standing at doors for alms becomes a mirror reflecting the state of consciousness. If the mind is greedy, the act becomes restless. If the mind is mindful, the act becomes peaceful. If the mind is proud, the act becomes heavy. If the mind is humble, the act becomes light. Therefore, the Buddha teaches that happiness in this world and the next arises not merely from action itself, but from the quality of awareness behind the action. When awareness is pure, actions become wholesome and produce peace both immediately and in future experience. In daily life, human beings constantly stand at the doors of experience. We stand before conversations receiving words. We stand before situations receiving emotions. We stand before memories receiving thoughts. If we are heedless, we react automatically and create suffering. If we are mindful, we observe calmly and respond with wisdom. Thus, the teaching of alms practice is not limited to monks, but applies to every human being in every moment of life. Each moment is a doorway through which life offers experience, and each mind must choose whether to receive it with awareness or with ignorance. Dear friends, there was also a wandering ascetic during the Buddha's time who believed that strict external behavior alone was sufficient for liberation. He followed many rituals precisely, but neglected mindfulness of thoughts and intentions. Over time, he became rigid and judgmental, believing himself spiritually superior to others. When he met the Buddha, he was surprised by the simplicity of the teaching. The Buddha explained that liberation is not achieved through external form alone, but through purification of intention and awareness. Hearing this, the ascetic realized that he had been practicing without understanding the heart of the Dharma. He began to cultivate mindfulness of mind rather than attachment to form and gradually experienced genuine peace. Dear friends, heedlessness often appears in subtle ways. A person may perform daily duties without awareness, thinking only of results rather than presence. A person may give help while secretly expecting recognition. A person may follow routine practice while the mind wanders constantly. The Buddha teaches that such actions lack depth because awareness is absent. When awareness returns, even ordinary actions become meaningful and transformative. This is why scrupulous observation is essential. It means guarding the mind carefully like a precious lamp in the wind. The Buddha also teaches that happiness in this world and the next is not two separate results, but a continuous flow of wholesome consciousness. When the mind is peaceful now, it naturally creates peaceful conditions in the future. When the mind is disturbed now, it naturally creates suffering later. This continuity shows that spiritual practice is not delayed to some future time, but happens continuously in each present moment. Therefore, mindfulness is both immediate and timeless in its benefit. Dear friends, there is great wisdom in slowing down and becoming fully present in daily activities. When standing, simply know standing. When walking, simply know walking. When receiving, simply know receiving. When letting go, simply know letting go. This simple awareness transforms ordinary life into spiritual practice. Without awareness, even sacred actions lose their depth. With awareness, even simple actions become profound. The Buddha's teaching is not meant to create pressure, but to awaken clarity. Many people already perform good actions in life, but without mindfulness, they miss the deeper transformation that could arise. By bringing awareness into every action, even small ones, life becomes gradually more peaceful and less reactive. The mind becomes less controlled by craving and more guided by wisdom. Dear friends, another important aspect of this teaching is gratitude. When one stands at the door of life receiving conditions, gratitude naturally arises when awareness is present. Gratitude softens the heart and reduces greed and dissatisfaction. A grateful mind does not constantly seek more, but appreciates what is already present. This appreciation is a source of deep happiness that does not depend on external abundance. In contrast, heedlessness creates constant dissatisfaction because the mind never fully receives experience. It rushes from one desire to another without appreciation. Therefore, the Buddha encourages full presence in every action. When receiving food, receive it fully. When receiving kindness, receive it fully. When receiving difficulty, also receive it with awareness and understanding. In this way, life becomes a continuous practice of awakening. Dear friends, let us reflect deeply on how we live each moment. Are we standing at the door of experience with awareness or with distraction? Are we receiving life with gratitude or with craving? Are we acting with mindfulness or with negligence? These reflections are not meant to judge, but to awaken understanding. Through understanding, transformation becomes natural. The path of Dharma is always present here and now. There is no need to search elsewhere. Every moment offers opportunity for mindfulness and awakening. Every breath offers opportunity for clarity. Every interaction offers opportunity for compassion. When this is seen clearly, life itself becomes the path of practice. Dear friends, let us continue walking this path with sincerity, patience, and awareness. Let us practice scrupulously, not through fear, but through understanding. Let us live each moment as if standing at the doorway of awakening itself. Then happiness naturally arises both in this world and beyond, because the mind is no longer bound by heedlessness, but guided by wisdom and compassion. Dear friends, as we continue to deepen the contemplation of this teaching from the Buddha, we enter more subtly into the inner meaning of scrupulous practice at the door of alms. This outward action represents an inward discipline of the mind in which every moment is approached with full awareness. To stand at the door without heedlessness means to stand in life without distraction. It means to be fully present in whatever arises without being lost in craving or aversion. The Buddha's instruction is therefore not limited to monastic conduct, but extends to the entire field of human experience. Every moment we are standing before life, receiving impressions, sensations, thoughts, and emotions, just as a monk stands before a household receiving alms. If we are careless, we miss the opportunity for awakening. If we are mindful, we transform each encounter into practice. Dear friends, there was once an elder monk who practiced alms round with deep silence and dignity. His presence alone brought calmness to the households he visited. He never rushed, never compared, and never judged what was offered. Whether he received much or little, his mind remained steady and grateful. A young monk observing him once asked how such peace was possible in a simple daily activity. The elder replied that the door of every house is also the door of the heart. If one stands with expectation, the heart becomes restless. If one stands with awareness, the heart becomes still. Hearing this, the young monk understood that the real alms were not only food, but the training of awareness itself. From that moment, he practiced each step with mindfulness and gradually discovered peace arising within ordinary actions. Dear friends, another lay practitioner once struggled with dissatisfaction, even though he supported the spiritual community regularly. He would give offerings, but constantly measured the amount and compared himself with others. This comparison created subtle suffering in his mind. Although externally his actions appeared virtuous, inwardly his heart remained agitated. One day he encountered a teaching that emphasized scrupulous awareness, meaning purity of intention without comparison or distraction. Reflecting deeply, he realized that his generosity had been mixed with ego and expectation. He then began to give quietly without observing others or seeking recognition. Over time, he noticed a profound change. The act of giving itself became joyful and liberating because it was no longer bound by ego. This shows that scrupulous practice purifies not only action, but intention. Dear friends, the Buddha consistently teaches that liberation is found not in changing external circumstances, but in transforming the quality of awareness. When awareness is scattered, life becomes fragmented. When awareness is unified, life becomes harmonious. The practice of standing at the door of alms symbolizes this unity of awareness. In every situation of life, whether pleasant or unpleasant, we are invited to stand fully present without distraction. When praise comes, we are aware of praise without clinging. When blame comes, we are aware of blame without aversion. When gain comes, we are aware of gain without attachment. When loss comes, we are aware of loss without despair. This is the meaning of scrupulous observation. Dear friends, the Buddha also points out that happiness in this world and the next arises naturally from such mindful conduct. This happiness is not superficial pleasure, but deep inner stability. When the mind is not shaken by greed or fear, peace becomes continuous. Even in changing conditions, the heart remains balanced. This balance is the fruit of mindfulness practiced consistently in every action, no matter how small. Therefore, there is no separation between daily life and spiritual practice. Each moment becomes the field of awakening. Dear friends, there was a wandering ascetic who believed that strict external discipline alone could lead to liberation. He practiced austerities and rituals meticulously, but his mind remained rigid and unexamined. When he met the Buddha, he was surprised that the teaching emphasized awareness rather than extreme physical discipline. The Buddha explained that without inner clarity, external discipline becomes empty form. True practice must include understanding of the mind itself. The ascetic realized that he had been focused on appearance rather than transformation. He then turned his attention inward and began observing thoughts, emotions, and intentions with mindfulness. Gradually, his heart softened, and he discovered a peace he had not known before. Dear friends, heedlessness is a subtle condition that can appear even in spiritual practice. A person may perform rituals, attend teachings, or follow ethical rules, yet still remain unaware of the present moment. When awareness is absent, even noble actions lose their transformative power. The Buddha therefore emphasizes continuous mindfulness rather than occasional effort. Just as a lamp must be steadily maintained to dispel darkness, awareness must be continuously cultivated to dispel ignorance. Dear friends, the act of standing at the door also reminds us of humility. A monk receiving alms does not assert ownership or superiority. He stands in simple openness, acknowledging interdependence with the world. In the same way, human life is entirely dependent on countless conditions. Recognizing this interdependence naturally gives rise to gratitude and humility. When gratitude is present, the heart becomes soft and free from arrogance. When humility is present, learning and transformation become possible. Dear friends, another important aspect of this teaching is patience. To stand calmly without impatience, whether receiving much or little, reflects inner stability. In life, impatience often arises when expectations are not met. The Buddha, when expectation is released, peace becomes independent of results. This, dear friends, scrupulous practice also means awareness of subtle intentions. Before speaking, acting, or thinking, one can gently observe the motivation behind the action. Is it rooted in kindness or in selfish desire? Is it guided by clarity or by confusion? This reflection does not require judgment, but simple awareness. Through such awareness, harmful patterns gradually lose strength, while wholesome qualities naturally grow. Dear friends, the Buddha's teaching is always grounded in direct experience. It is not a philosophy to be believed blindly, but a path to be practiced and verified in one's own life. When mindfulness is applied consistently, one can observe the direct effects. Actions performed with awareness bring peace. Actions performed with heedlessness bring disturbance. Over time, this becomes evident through personal observation rather than intellectual theory. Dear friends, let us reflect on how often we stand at the door of experience without awareness. How often do we eat without presence, speak without awareness, or act without reflection? Each such moment is an opportunity lost for awakening. Yet the Buddha assures us that it is never too late to begin again. Each new moment offers a fresh opportunity to return to mindfulness. Dear friends, let us cultivate this scrupulous practice gently, without pressure or self-judgment. Let us simply return again and again to awareness in whatever we are doing. Let us remember that happiness in this world and the next is not distant, but arises from the quality of mind in each present moment. When the mind is clear, peaceful, and attentive, life naturally becomes harmonious. Thus, the teaching of the Buddha invites us to live fully present in each moment, standing at the door of life with awareness, gratitude, and wisdom. In doing so, we transform ordinary existence into a path of awakening and discover a happiness that is stable, deep, and free from disturbance. Dear friends, as we bring this teaching to completion, we gently return to the heart of the Buddha's message. To live without heedlessness is to live with full awareness of each breath, each step, and each moment of contact with life. To observe practice scrupulously is to guard the mind with care so that intention remains pure and awareness remains steady. In this way, ordinary actions become the path of awakening, and daily life itself becomes spiritual practice. The Buddha does not ask us to escape the world, but to enter it with clarity. When awareness is present, there is no ordinary moment, because every moment becomes a doorway to understanding. When mindfulness is continuous, the heart becomes stable in changing conditions, and suffering gradually loses its grip. Happiness then is no longer dependent on external gain or loss, but arises from the freedom of a mind that is awake and at peace. Dear friends, may we continue to cultivate this gentle awareness in every aspect of life. May we stand at the door of each moment with gratitude, humility, and mindfulness. May we learn from each experience without confusion and grow steadily in wisdom and compassion. When practice is sincere, even simple daily living becomes a sacred path leading toward liberation. Thank you for watching my video. Namalamat Ba. I wish to bring this merit towards all disciples and sentient beings, all of whom will attain Buddhahood. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I really appreciate your time.